Right now, I'm buying up thousands of skins in one of my biggest CS2 investment plays yet. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly which items I'm targeting, break down all the supply and pricing data most people are ignoring, and look at how similar collections performed in the past to identify trends. And with an update on the horizon, we could be in the final days to buy before this opportunity vanishes. Like many of you, I'm eagerly awaiting the next Armory change. However, unlike some who are focused on the new skins that might get added, I'm much more interested in the collections they will remove. There are several that could be on the chopping block. Overpass and Spawn and Field have been in the Armory since its inception in 2024, but they're still the two most popular. Another possibility is Train 2025, especially since Train the map was removed from the active pool earlier this year. And indeed, it's this group of skins that I want to focus on today. The Train collection has been around for just under a year, and has just 2 souvenir packages from the Austin and Budapest majors. Because of that, supply is still relatively low. But to break it down further, I wanted to make a comparison, and with the graphic design collection being the only one that has actually been removed from the Armory so far, it gives us a really interesting case study. If we can understand how those skins performed before and after removal, we might be able to identify trends that can provide useful context for today. Before we continue, this video's sponsor, SkinSwap, is giving you a skin worth up to $50 entirely for free whenever you do your first trade and use my referral code. If you want to refresh your loadout, you can trade your skins for brand new ones in just a couple of seconds. Plus, their new Chinese markets feature lets you purchase cheap skins from Chinese sites directly, without the need for a Chinese ID or bank account. They accept deposits via crypto, MasterCard, and Visa. If you need to cash out, SkinSwap makes that simple too, with instant sell options to PayPal or crypto. On top of that, they run free daily, weekly, and monthly giveaways, with the chance to earn extra tickets simply by trading. Use my link or referral code for a 3% lifetime sales bonus and a free skin worth up to $50. Big thanks to SkinSwap for supporting the channel. So earlier today, I sat down and collected data on every single skin in the graphic design collection. For each one, I noted its float range, as I was curious to see whether skins with larger float ranges would have this reflected in their price behavior. Next to that, I added the factory new and field tested CS float prices from September 1st, which was about a week before Valve announced the removal when prices were still fairly stable. Then I compared those with prices from around October 12th, roughly 2 weeks after the collection was removed, which is when most of the skins peaked. When you start looking through the numbers, some really interesting trends show up. The biggest percentage increase in the entire collection came from the MP7 Astrolab in Factory New, and overall, several skins managed gains of 300% or more in that period. These have been highlighted in green. Something else that stood out was how the high rarity skins behaved. For the restricted, classified, and covert skins, Factory New versions consistently outperformed field tested. The prime example is the Starcade, which saw around a 340% increase in Factory New. But the trend actually flipped when you look at the cheaper skins. For mil-spec and industrial items, field tested often performed better than its Factory New counterpart. So it seems like for lower rarities, cheaper skins can do better as they have greater multiple potential. But for expensive skins, Factory New versions become more desirable because they appeal to both investors and players who actually want to use them in their loadouts. The MP7 Astrolab is particularly interesting as it is the only skin in the entire collection with a full 0 to 1 float range, making it extremely valuable for trade-ups. This heightened demand is likely the main reason I believe its Factory New variant performed best. Some of the weakest performers, which admittedly still did around 100%, were skins for very popular weapons like the AK and M4. At first that might sound strange, but those skins already had high starting prices before the announcement because players actively used them in their loadouts. The AK in particular was the most expensive mil-spec skin in the collection before the update by a huge margin. Similar scenario for the M4, which was already sitting at $23 pre-announcement versus $12 and $15 for the other 2 restricted skins. When a skin already starts expensive, there's simply less room for percentage growth. Also, I want to quickly mention that this video is not professional financial advice. CS2 skins are virtual items and can be highly volatile. Past performance is not indicative of future results, so please do your own further research and consider your financial position before making any decisions. Let's now take a look at the Train collection. I don't expect any of the current collections to perform as well as the graphic design. That was the very first time Valve rotated a collection out of the Armory, and the community didn't know what to expect. Once players realized that Valve was willing to remove collections, many people started stocking up immediately. I've collected similar data here for the Train skins. again pulling prices from the 1st of September, but then prices from the 9th of March 2026. Even though the collection is still active in the Armory, many skins have already increased significantly. The Glock green line is up around 188%, which is the biggest jump in the collection so far. Several other skins like the Factory New Hellish, Latte Rush, and Zeus Charged Up have more than doubled in price during that period as well. Meanwhile, the skins highlighted in red have seen less than 25% increases. One of the biggest factors in this collection is float ranges. Some of the most desirable skins like the M4 Hellish and the AWP Long Dog have full float ranges. And the Tech 9 Whiteout has a 0.06 float cap, making it extremely difficult to trade up for. Because of that, low float skins could be highly sought after in the future for those looking to acquire these skins. Therefore, I'd be steering clear of any of the skins with extremely limited ranges, like the Nova Rain Station or Galil Green Apple. Those skins are much harder to use in trade-ups, since their floats will get scaled up substantially, which can limit demand. Given the expensive skins have also already seen such significant rises, I'm not too confident buying into the Long Dog at over $1,500, and the Hellish and MP9 already seem fairly pricey. They could potentially rise further, but I think I'll be prioritizing restricted, mil-specs, and low-float industrials. Specifically items like the P90 Straight Dimes and the AUG Steel Sentinel, as they have the most trade-up potential with the full 0-1 float range. Further, seeing as the P90 has only risen 22%, whilst just about all the mil-specs have done more than that, suggests to me it could currently be undervalued. Another important piece of the puzzle is the Whiteout. Since it's one of the key restricted skins driving trade-up attempts, I think it's highly valuable to know the float thresholds required for each mil-spec to produce a factory new Tech 9. Of course, mixing them with other inputs will vary this, but I think if you can set up some buy orders, pick any of these up at market price or with a bit of overpay, these could be extremely desirable to buyers in the future. The Glock has already seen the biggest price increase overall, so I'd probably be avoiding it, unless you are convinced that the play skin demand for it will outpace overall trade-up demand. Another reason I think the Train collection has potential is its overall supply. I've shown this chart before, assembled by Spinney, which shows total redemptions for each collection relative to its time in the Armory. However, I also collected data today on the total supply of factory new classifieds from each collection. We have roughly 35,500 from Overpass 2024, 49,500 from Sport and Field, and just 13,000 from Train according to CS2 database. The graphic design collection currently has 21.5k, however a decent portion of these were likely created via trade-ups post-removal. That shows just how big the redemption gap is between Train and the other two active collections. Another thing that will impact price movement is the timing of Valve's announcements. The graphic design collection was removed on October 1st, 2025, but Valve actually announced a last chance to buy message 3 weeks earlier on September 10th. Given I believe the next Armory update is likely coming mid to late April, the last chance announcement could realistically arrive in late March or early April. To me, that makes a lot of sense, as the final submission deadline for the Call to Armory skins is March 13th, which would give Valve enough time to review submissions and ship the update a couple of weeks later. Therefore, we might only have a week or two to organize our positions before an announcement arrives. Personally, I've bought into all three of the current Armory skin collections. Of course, this doesn't maximize potential upside if only one gets removed, but it does spread exposure and reduces the risk of missing out entirely. I've prioritized the industrials I spoke about earlier with the full float range and low float mil specs that will trade up to the Whiteout. I've also got a number of factory new Whiteouts and Zeuses that will be primarily used as trade-up fodder for the classified skins. And one final thing worth remembering. When the graphic design collection was removed, most skins didn't actually hit their peak immediately. The highest prices occurred roughly 2 weeks after removal. So if something similar happens again, timing your exit could matter just as much as picking the right skins in the first place. I really hope you enjoyed this breakdown, and I'm curious to hear what you think in the comments below. You should definitely watch this video next, where I break down the most common CS2 scams in 2026 and how to protect your inventory. Thanks so much for watching, and take care.